Oh, look, now we're live, Dean. So, everybody, welcome to Maximum Libertarian. I'm Brian,
I'm Dean.
and if you're here for the first time ever, please click the subscribe button.
Smash.
Smash the like button, as Dean said, and also click the notification bell. That way, when you'll see whenever we go live, we will. You'll see us go, and you'll be able to come in. But please share the video, like the video, do whatever you got to do. Just help us out. That's a big, big main thing. Well, today's topic's going to be, as many people have seen, there's a lot of predictions, not about just who's going to win the election this year, but what they're predicting that no matter who wins, there's going to be civil unrest on election day. And thankfully, the social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff are going to be coming to the rescue and making sure that they do things that if things start getting wound up and a little violent, that they're going to be helping to do their part and block different posts. What do you think about that, Dean?
Total bullshit.
In what aspect?
They ain't gonna do. They're gonna do it they're going to do it in their own personal interest. Their political views are going to be scattered there. We've already seen what Facebook does to libertarians. So does Twitter. Brian would know that. I would know that. We've helped got the ban button hit at us for 12 hours, so we know all about what Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those great sites love doing to people that have different political views in them. So they're gonna help the people they want to help and hurt the people they want to hurt. That's just the
That's
way they
what
are.
that's what I'm afraid of. Um, is that they're going to say that they're going to be doing something nice for us, and then when in reality they're just going to be pushing along false narratives. Facebook's been called, like, what they like to do now is if you try to share a post, what they might do is put something up saying that
Well,
it's going to be fact checked. And then what they're doing is they're sending the fact checks just to an opinion piece. So instead of actually showing, there's some things on Facebook that are completely false. And
fake
all you have to
news.
do, yes, it's fake news. If they would just read the site, just read the article, you would read that it's an actual fake news, or it don't make sense. It's nothing's adding up here. Now there are some like the Onion or whatever, Babylon B, that
Just have
write
fun.
stories, huh?
They just have fun. They mock things.
Absolutely. But they do a good job at writing the article, making the articles look legit. And then you get people who don't read it and will just share it to all the masses. So in
You know,
turn,
it's people that don't read. They share something 3 years ago that's not current, and it really bad bugs the living hell out of me.
well, if you saw just here recently, there was a article. There's a group, and they would feed homeless people. It was like a church organization, and then it was like this cease and desist letter from the government. And I can't remember who shared it, but then I was like, I sent it to Caesar, our candidate who's running for city council here, and I said, hey, you might want to check this out or make a comment about it. And then to find out it was from 2017. So in turn, it was 3 years old being shared today as if it's brand new news.
That's bad about it.
Um,
That's what's bad about the media and the fake news. Not all media is bad, but the national media specifically is politically driven. Unfortunately, that's the way that they operate. There's no real fair and balanced media when you look at it. Unlike unless you listen to us or somebody legit that's talking about legit things. Um,
well, you know what? I think whatever we say, I think people should go out and do their own research, have their own opinions about. Um, Too often, people put too much faith into their local media. They put too much faith into whatever massive website, if it's like a New York Times or Facebook or whatever, and they don't do just just give me
Basic fact.
5 minutes. Yeah, just you can look things up. They can't hide the truth when they lie so blatantly. Um,
We don't live in North Korea.
right, absolutely, absolutely. Um, but it's kind of frustrating that we've already started to have this pre-planning for police officers in like Port. Now I know Portland's under. They're already. You're
And
not seeing it on the news right now, but
they're
it's
already,
burning.
they're already,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
they're already got a lot of civil unrest, but they've
but
got stuff coming in New York and
I
other
can,
states.
like, see, I can actually see it happening. I hate to say it because there's been such a divide, and I mean, you can go back how many presidents, but there's such a political divide, and it was made really well by Obama and Trump now, where people that of the opposite political party or of color versus they're big at thing racist and making things homophobic and all this other stuff, which is awful because we should be trying to get away from that. Us as libertarians, we believe in non-aggression, non peaceful ways of doing things. And this country right now, there's a lot of people that hate. I hate to say the word, but hate each other because they're politically driven, and it's gonna boil over. And then we're gonna put our police officers in the way. And then if something happens, one side's going to say the police officers overreacted. It's just a big circle of shit, basically. I like to say, I'm not meaning to curse, but it's really what it is. Um, one side's going to say one thing, one side's going to say the other. I think there's also going to be other issues. What happens if Trump loses and refuses to move out of the White House? I mean, what happens if Biden loses and all those people go really nuts? Which could
Well,
happen.
what really bothers me is you always hear about how Trump's going to somehow refuse to leave the White House and they're going to have to bring military in to remove him and yada yada yada. The same people that say that have told Joe Biden at no circumstance except the election of so if Trump wins, they've already started. That's what bothers me is when the left and the right does it too. So please,
Oh, I'm going to go
but
in some.
you see this left side telling people already because when President Trump came into office, they immediately um, put things on him to delegitimize him. Tonight, he's not the real president. They were marching at 10 o'clock in the night. I think it was like 9:30, 9:45 downtown, chanting, "He's not our president." Hey, as he is your president, it's not that I would have wanted to vote. I didn't vote for him. Not what I would have picked him,
Not,
but you picked a sorry candidate in Hillary Clinton, and now you're stuck with President Trump. But they allowed that to happen, and had the media came along, and then they're like, "Well, why isn't he trying to work with us?" Well, if I come out and say Dean is an idiot, let's just say, and you just won the leadership role, there's absolutely, if I've been sitting here telling everyone how you're an idiot, why would I expect you to come up and start working with me or sit there
yeah.
and go, "Oh, let me put my arm around you and let's try to work this out"? No, that's not how it works. This is legitimate. You know, there's no civility amongst these thieves in
I,
Washington D.C., in Richmond, or at local level.
I see it getting ugly. I mean, I see it getting bad. I hate to say it. It's just not something I uh, want to really see. But I mean, we're at the point in this country where one side's one way, one side's the other so heavily that they're fighting amongst each other. And here's the problem: Biden wins, the first thing he's going to go for is the guns in this country, and that's not going to sit very well with people out where I live or anybody else that's in the Second Amendment area. It ain't going to sit very, very well. So
Right.
either way you look at it, it could be ugly either way. whether it's right at the election or after the election, because the minute that Biden, if they win, tries to take guns, it's going to get ugly. It's going to be like a civil war. And the minute the other side loses, say Trump wins, the other side's going to go nuts because they didn't win, and they're just going to be probably burning the cities down again and doing real stupid shit that they've been doing. Um, I mean, I agree. The police officer shouldn't have killed George Floyd. Let's just go into that one. Okay, wrong. He did the wrong thing. Okay, the police officer. But if we go back and look what George Floyd had done to other people, this guy is a martyr to people, but yet he is a criminal and an asshole. In realistic, if you look at his background of what he did, holding a mother and their baby hostage with a gun to their head and things like that, he's no martyr. And this is what the left is pushing for. Okay, I understand the cop made the wrong decision and the cop murdered George Floyd. It's wrong, point blank. Let's just be dead honest. It's dead. He's dead wrong for doing it, and he should have faced heavier punishment. But we can't be making people that are rapists and murderers and do the wrong thing in this world martyrs, because that's not the way we should be looking at things. Because
Well,
that Osama bin Laden was right, which he was far from right.
well, what you got to really look at is a lot of times you're talking about bringing up someone's past, and I don't. I mean, obviously, just because someone was a bad guy, they still deserve due process. Or, I don't know nothing about. I don't
I'm just
really go into the draw. I know what you're saying, and I know exactly what you're saying. But what I wanted to bring up was, do you know how often, like what I just said, is what I the way I said it is we don't bring up, but you hear so often people will still bring up like we should just have no judge, no jury. If someone does something wrong, we just immediately execute them right there on the spot.
what you want
And
that?
I
Go overseas to the Middle East. They'll happily give you that kind of judgment.
well, yeah,
North Korea,
they're
go there. They'll happily chop your head off for something you didn't do.
yeah, absolutely. And in turn, I think I do think the whole George Floyd thing was a tragedy, and
It was.
but hopefully they, instead of like what I'm afraid's happening is we've went into this whole amped up on steroids thing where everyone's supposed to hate police officers. So in turn, what type of police officers are you going to be bringing in? You're not bringing in the good guys. You're not bringing in former military who has and not all, just because you're former military don't mean you should be a police officer, because I've met plenty of former military with my time in the service. But uh it's good. It's we need good people to be there. And like I said, I think instead of stripping them of money, there's things that we could strip them of. Let's say the tanks and whatever. But I want to see more training for these individuals. It's like yourself. You're in the fire service. You're in a volunteer fire service, so you're not even getting paid. But you're constantly talking about how y'all train, correct?
Yep, you have to train. If you don't train, you're not ready for the real thing.
And
And
so in turn, right. And
if
how
you're
often do you
real thing,
train?
if you're undertrained or not trained, you're not going to be prepared when the shit hits the fan, and you need to make a rescue or you need to do something that is above and beyond what you normally should do. I could say just for I lost my toe with the whole thing there. I'm not going to be the best person to probably put on a roof, but God forbid if there's a baby that I need to go rescue, I'm going to climb that damn ladder and get that baby. The hell if I'm not going to the hell I'm going to sit down there. You can
Right.
have to train and have your mind right. And if you don't have your mind right, there needs to be a way for mental health to be added even more into the police, military, and fire service. I mean, it's starting pretty well in the fire service where you can talk to people and they give you ways to cope with things. But we need that for all across the board. I mean, we need to have ways that, and a lot of firemen, police officers, and military are very prideful, so they don't want to seek help. They don't think they need it. And the real that reality is when you see enough bad shit hit the fan, you're going to need some help mentally. You're going to need somebody to talk to, and you can't be Barney badass and think that not talking to somebody can do that, because that can lead to drinking. And well, you talked about what COVID could do to people. Other problems within that, like drinking, people hitting people, people hurting people. Uh, suicide rates up, things like that. Well, if you don't have the right mental stability in the fire, EMS, and police, military service, and you don't get that help, you're just going to be a statistic also that we don't need any more of, which is loss of and suicide of first responders and suicide of military members, because those people are the ones going out there busting their ass even for free. Like you said, in a volunteer agency, you're out there busting your ass for free because you want to help your neighbor, but somebody needs to be there for you when you need the help. In the mental capability, I always say, and if anybody is a fireman and listens to this, if you've been in the fire service for 5 years and saw some traumatic stuff, there's something there that your mind's gonna be off a little bit. You're gonna remember, it's gonna either strengthen you or it's gonna weaken you, and the difference is whether you seek the help or you don't seek the help, to make you go either way. So it's really important. Mental health and training, like you said, like we were going into, that's important. And mental health needs to be involved with all of this stuff. And the way this country is, with the way the lockdowns were with COVID, the country is really in a situation could be into like a PTSD type of situation, because it's the point of we're coping with this situation that is out of our control, and we were locked in, do lockdowns and things like that. But that plays with people's mental health also. So it all really comes down to mental health, and that could be said for this. If people are not mentally there, that are making, um, going for to do something stupid after the election day, their mind ain't right.
Right.
Point.
I guess in the end of the whole thing here, because Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I know Instagram's owned by Facebook. These are all privately owned businesses. And
Yep.
the media has a responsibility. They have spun this country up, they've spun up the communities, they've spun up individuals. They are fearful and they hate one another, and it's despicable, but they're allowed to do it because they're a private business. They're massive corporation, which I have no issue with. If you want to make as much money, do it what you can. But I do think it's a big, big, big thing that people should be responsible. The problem is, and let me just say this, and I've talked to enough people. You talked about the suicide rate. You talked about all that stuff, and you're absolutely right. Um, but we know exactly that what's spinning us up. Facebook spins us up. Social media spins us up. They're pretending to be our friends, that they're going to help us, but in reality, we know how this story ends.
The media spins it.
The media spins it, and
They're the
anyone that
worst.
comes out with any pushback. Let me just tell you something, and maybe I've said this, I'm going to keep hammering this until I can't, until I'm blue in the face. But like when I got diagnosed with COVID, now granted I was asymptomatic, I had no symptoms, nothing like that. But you know what they told me to do? Stay home. Why didn't they tell me to take the vitamins, eat clean, work out? Check on people. It's insane that they would tell me that, because of my personality and my thought process and stuff. I was not one who would go in, but I know people that will go into a room and they're depressed. They have low self esteem. They have a lot of. Look, I'm right there with them. It's just I've died. Uh, I bring things in differently. I process things differently. Does that make sense? And I think it's so much, and we know how this is. So in turn, they're getting ready. They are spinning us up right now to go out there to have civil unrest. They're not preventing it. They're wanting to see it because it'll get them news, it'll get them ratings, it'll get them clicks, all that good stuff. And
Money.
to me, absolutely. And that makes me so sick to my stomach when we know as individuals, hey, you know that Instagram model's not looking that good. She's taking it from an angle. That's a 6-year-old angle, and then I'm sitting here going, "Oh man, I want to be with her." Or, "Oh, there's the guy with 6-pack abs on top of a Lamborghini." I was just listening to, gosh, I wish I could remember. It was Matthew McConaughey, who's on Joe Rogan. He said that these guys rented a Lamborghini and was taking pictures leaning up against the Lamborghini for their Tinder profile. And he had other guys come up and lean up against the Lamborghini just to put on their. And he made his money back for renting the Lamborghini, just having guys come out and pay to lean up against the Lamborghini.
Because
Okay,
today it's all a fake facade.
it's false. Everything's false. So really get out into your community, talk to your neighbors, and you'll be
Exactly.
fine. And take your supplements, eat clean, and work out. Wear a mask. Do if you want to put a little hand sanitizer on, do it. It's okay. You'll be fine. But
It's
what
tough.
we there you go. But you never get to hear that. Well, you know what you hear? COVID's going to kill you, and I hate. Everyone hates you except and
And
they'll.
we can go into, you can look at my page. People busting me when I say, wear a mask. Let's stop this. Let's try to bite this and nip this in the bud. I'm just doing that to try to be a spokesperson. Say, hey, if we all did the same thing, if we all went into a grocery store and we all wore masks, and we all were more personally responsible. And we talked about personal responsibility on one of the last shows. If we're all personally responsible,
Right.
we could actually probably make a difference on the way this goes. It's just the problem is there's people that want to be Betty Badass out there, and I don't need to wear a mask. Trump doesn't wear a mask. I don't need to wear a mask. Um, so what? It's a hoax. I'm so sick and tired of hearing that hoax thing. It's ridiculous because people are dying from it. And yeah, there's people that are older that are dying from it, and there's some younger people, but the majority are older people. But you need to be careful when you go out. This is a highly contagious disease, and the problem is we're going to be stupid. We're going to have the people that are on the one side saying, "I don't need to wear a mask. Trump don't wear a mask. Didn't hurt Trump." So you're going to have those people, and what's going to happen is the spread's going to increase like it's been doing, and our governor is going to take a drastic measure. I hate to say it, but he's going to do it again. I can see it happening, where he's going to start. He'll back up things to probably phase 2, where you can only meet with so many people, and certain things are going to be restricted. I mean, I already read, and this was a pretty legit story about them talking about southern, southwest, and central Virginia, and possibly putting sanctions like they did down in the Eastern Shore because it helped them down the Eastern Shore when they put those restrictions into place for a while. So we can either go one way or another. We're either going to continue to go the rate we're going, and the government is going to infringe on our rights anyway, and because it's a law, and they're going to enforce that law, and we're all going to be stuck going backwards. Or we could all wake up tomorrow and say, "Hey, let's be personally responsible, wear a mask."
But
And
once again, I do agree, and I don't want to cut you off here, and I agree. Wearing a mask is fine if you want to wear it. The problem is, I don't feel that our government officials truly look at the data and truly go, "Oh, what's the best for to make sense out of this thing? And should we open this? Should we not open this? Should we have more people there?" They've killed the economy. They've killed businesses. So, like I've said, so we discussed it. I know a few episodes ago, but like on this hand is the COVID, and on this hand's the suicide, the drug use, the spousal abuse, the child abuse, all this other stuff's here. So we've got to look and go, hey, both of them are important to make sure we take care of. But what this idiot government does is they just look at COVID just like they look at everything else. because there's a lot of things coming down the pike, and the Federal Reserve, Bitcoin, but they're releasing. I wish I could remember it. I cannot remember, but I'll find it out and talk about it tomorrow. Uh, but a digital currency by the Federal Reserve, and I'm telling you, they get rid of cash, we're all screwed, because what's going to happen then, they don't like the American Legion, they don't like AMVETS, they don't like the Libertarian Party. You're unable to make your donation to the Dean Davison campaign because he's whatever. It will be a form of control, and people better wake up to it. This is not hard stuff, but of course, don't say that. But just look at the data. I guess that's the end of the day. Look at the data, and let's make some reasonable sense.
The data speaks for itself. I mean,
Right,
scientifically, the data always is going to speak for itself.
right. So
Don't media twist it. Like, look in legit sites where real data is being put. Don't look at your MSNBC or your CNN or your Fox News for information. Look at the CDC, even though some people say the CDC ain't right, but they're legit compared to a news source. Look at your John Hopkins universities and your MITs and your areas where there's legit science going on and there's
right,
legit data out, not manufactured data. Um, because really the manufacturer data is what's mainly out there, and what's what mainly people look at. Um, you know, I look up stuff to try to scientifically put a face behind it. As a meteorologist, I have to do that. I mean, you don't want to give somebody false data, especially when if you're running a company and it costs them money. If you put bad data in there, I mean, it's all. And what's really sad about what's going on in this country is it really comes down to money. Money is your root of the evil. Money is what's driving certain areas and political machines. Of course, not the Libertarian Party, obviously, but that's just small people giving money, but not your billions of dollars that go to your Democrat and Republican parties that come, or for candidates that come into those parties because they're getting money from, say, locally from AEP or Dominion or coal plants and things like that, because they want you to do a personal favor for them if you get in the office or if you go back in the office. That's just the wrong way, and that's how our government works. Unfortunately, there's people that run third party like us, like the Libertarian Party, where we're trying to take away that whole money thing. We're trying to do things right and morally right and right for what's right for the country, not dig ourselves into a bigger financial hole. I mean, in debt, if you're spending more than you're taking in, you need to stop digging. It's one of the better things I heard Joe Jorgensen say about the financial part of things. Yeah, there is a pandemic. We need to take care of that part, but we can't also sacrifice everything for that. Yes, we need to
right,
be vigilant. We need to have money going towards the people that are creating the vaccine, the people that are creating the medications that are helping the convalescent plasma, the people that are doing all that stuff that is helping in this pandemic. But we also need to watch where these companies come from. And Bill Gates. Let's take a look back at Bill Gates and viruses. And I'm pretty sure if you look that up close enough, you're going to find something very interesting about the companies that are getting these contracts for medications like remdesivir. Um, look it up; you'll find it. You want to
right,
find real? Look up how these people are connected via their money.
right. Absolutely. So I guess we're about the 29-minute mark, Dean. And do you have anything else to talk about on that, Ian?
Oh, we were knocking this out of the park talking about what's going to probably unfortunately happen in a week. And it's a week from tomorrow. It's election day. Vote out for Joe Jorgensen and Cesar Alberto, and get out for your local
Stephen
libertarian.
Porter. And if you're in
Porter.
the Herndon area, Stephen Porter. But yeah, I'm fearful of what's going to happen next Tuesday, probably later, but with all the mail-in, and there's going to be a ton of voter fraud. I'm afraid if hopefully it's wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong about that, but there's a lot of signs pointing to voter fraud. Are you ever going to hear who really wins? I don't know, but I guess in the end of the day, I think everyone should start really stop depending on your local leaders or anybody who wants to declare themselves your leader, and be the
Exactly.
leader you want to be. And that's about it. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. We once again, if you will, please click the subscribe button, click the
Smash,
notification bell. What is it,
smash,
Dean?
smash that like.
Yep. Yes, smash the like button. Go to Twitter. We are libertarian. It's at WEARE. We are libertarians. My
We are.
goodness. No, we are maximum libertarian. It's at WEAREMAXLIB. I'm going to write it out tomorrow and just hold a card up because I do that every time and I forget about it. So thank you again, Dean, for joining me. And thank
Absolutely.
you all for watching. And we will see you tomorrow night. See ya.